All right, Ashley, is it me or I can't hear you? But you're not on mute. Can anybody hear Ashley or me? You can hear me, you can hear Ashley?
I can hear
I
Jay.
hear you. I don't hear Ashley.
Okay. Do you want to try again, Ashley? Ashley, if you want to, you can call my office number and I'll put you on speaker. You want to do that? It's okay, it happens. I'm gonna put the number. I'm gonna text you the number. And you're gonna call in. And I don't think I have it.
She says she's joining from her phone, Jay.
Thank you. I'll give it one more second. We're still letting people in.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my computer's not cooperating. Sorry about that, guys. All right, welcome to the September Morris Brandon GOTeam meeting. We are going to follow the agenda as it has been emailed and publicly noticed. It's also on the screen here. I would like to remind and welcome everyone to this GOTeam meeting, as we are going to be having public comment. And it looks like we've got public comment. Let's see, after the principals update. I don't think we have it on here. So do we need to add that maybe?
Let's see, this might have been, no, it's fine. We'll still go with it and we can make sure
Okay,
that
we'll go after principals update. And if anyone would like to do a public comment, we are going to ask you to fill out the Google form that's in our chat. After Jay does his principals update, we'll have that opportunity, and everyone will have about 2 minutes to speak. And this time period is really to gain input from our public community. As GOTeam members, we do not immediately respond or comment, but we're going to take that information and comments that you give us and digest it. And if you cannot make a comment today, you're also more than welcome to email or call any of us on the GOTeam. So first order business to call roll. Kim, will you please take roll?
Yes. So I'll just go down the list that I have. Jay.
Present.
Yes. Anna. Yes.
Here.
Miss Manak, I saw her.
Mm-hmm.
Miss
Here.
Jordan.
Present.
Miss Moses.
I just let her in. Yep.
Ashley Scott.
Present.
Yes. Ashley Mathis.
Present.
And Chris.
Here.
Great. I think that's everyone.
Okay, so it looks like we've got a quorum. Kim, we have a quorum?
Yes, all present.
Yes. Okay, cool. So we are going to move on to the approval of the agenda. So we've got agenda here. This was provided, copies are here, and I think our only change is obviously to have our public comment after the principals update. So can I have a motion to approve the agenda for today?
Oh, I have one question about the agenda. Sorry, just really quickly. I didn't know. I probably should have just emailed earlier. I got info about the cluster advisory meeting for next week. And it's the organizational one where we're going to be discussing cluster priorities. So I didn't know if we wanted to just briefly brainstorm priorities that wanted me to share with the larger group next week, or you just can go to the meeting and just share out at our next GOTeam meeting as well. Sure.
Jay, do you want to do that after?
Yeah, why don't we do that at the end, information items, depending on how much time we have. Lena can just talk for a second about what the cluster advisory team is and anything that you feel like you would like her to lift. I don't think we need to go through our cluster priorities just right now because it's a lot bigger than just Brandon. But if you have something that you would like to lift for her, or to share for her when we get in front of all the Go teams of the North Atlanta cluster next week. You can share that at the end. And if you have any public comment that you would like to share, knowing that Lena and myself will be at the cluster advisory team next week, you are welcome to speak to that as well.
Perfect. All right, so can I approve the agenda, or can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Ashley Mathis. A second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Ina. Okay, so we are now going to move or go to the next action item, which is to fill our open community member seat. And I think, Jay, you're going to bring forth a nomination.
Yeah, absolutely. So give me 1 second. Thank you everybody for being on here today. I appreciate you so much. We have a lot to get to, so thank you for being patient. Let me share my screen. Give me 1 second. All right, because I think I'm doing this because I think my first slide is our community seat. So yes, we do have to vote on a community seat. Thank you so much to our GOTeam members for just engaging in dialogue offline with me over the past several weeks. We were looking for diversity. We were looking for traditional versus non-traditional students, meaning DLI and non-DLI. We're looking for just a wide array of parents. So I would like to bring forth. Here it is. All right. My nomination for community swing seat is going to be Tiffany Ingram. Tiffany is on today. I'll just talk a little bit about it. I know you can read her bio, but I'm just going to read this for you. Tiffany Ingram is a nonprofit healthcare executive who's deeply involved in her community. As a parent of students at Morris Brandon and Sutton Middle School, she actively participates on both PTAs and NAPS. NAPS is our North Atlanta Partners for Public Schools, which is a great advocacy group in the North Atlanta cluster. She serves on the board of directors at Johns Hopkins University School of Education and is a fellow at the university's Leadership Fellowship Program. Tiffany is committed to the North Atlanta cluster and dedicated to the field of education. I have had great dialogue with Ms. Ingram over the past 4 to 5 years. She now has a student that is at Sutton. She's highly involved in education world outside of the North Atlanta cluster, but also really understands the flow and continuity of Brandon to Sutton to North Atlanta. So I'd like to bring forth her nomination. And if you have the next steps for that, Ashley, you can go.
Yes, I, don't have that script in front of me, but I'm thinking if anyone would like to,
Yep, the next thing would be to provide any dialogue from GOTeam members.
dialogue.
Sure.
I would love to also, recommend positively Tiffany for this role. She has jumped in with NAPS and gotten super involved and responsive. And, we really appreciate that, volunteer mindset. And she's got a 6th grader, and then Jameson, I think, is 3rd grade. Is that right?
4th.
4th grade. So I just really also endorse Tiffany for this open community seat. Okay. Does anyone else have any other dialogue?
All right. Well, we can, if you want to, Ashley, and we are ready, you can move to a vote. And I know that Tiffany is on. So once we move to a vote, then we can allow her to immediately join the GOTeam and just say a couple words if she wants to.
Great. All right. May I have a motion to approve Tiffany Ingram as our community swing seat position for GOTeam?
I'll make a motion to approve Tiffany Ingram in the community swing seat.
I think that was Ashley, Kim, and then we can do an all in favor, say aye, Ashley.
All right. And there's a second too. Kim, you second?
Oh yeah, you do a second, sorry.
I second.
Okay. Thanks, Ina. And all in favor, say aye or raise hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Looks like everyone, Kim. Yep.
All right.
Okay, awesome.
No? Okay. Nay? Any abstentions? I think we'd like to congratulate Tiffany for joining the Go team. We're happy to have you.
All right, awesome. Tiffany, by the way, she did tell me that she is out of town and she's listening in. I don't know if she's able to come off mute. But Tiffany, if you can hear us, congratulations. Welcome to stay on or welcome to come off mute if you want. I'll give you about 5 seconds.
I think she's on, but she's muted.
Hey y'all! Thanks. I'm out of my session. I will be on DC. Very
think-
happy to be aboard.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Tiffany. And
Yeah,
just
and-
in full transparency, and I will say this, our GOTeam meeting was going to be on the 19th, and that was going to be the date that we were going to have Tiffany on and so forth. But I decided to move it up a week, and I appreciate everybody doing that, but that did throw her schedule off a little bit with the nomination. But she's excited. She'll be here. She's listening. And then we have our officially 10th GOTeam member, 9th voting member.
Awesome. All right. Well, congrats, Tiffany. Welcome aboard. All right. Next, I'm going to move to approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting, and the minutes have been provided and posted. Does anyone have any corrections from the last meeting minutes? Okay, I'm seeing no corrections. So may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Chris. A second?
Second,
Thank you. I'm not sure who that was.
Zan Jordan.
Okay, thank you, Zan. And then all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Okay. I think we are ready to move on to our
Let's move on to the principal update, if you don't mind. And it's going to include those 4 items in there.
perfect. Over to you, Jay.
Okay, awesome. Ashley, thank you so much for doing that. Everybody else, thank you so much for jumping on today. The meeting was supposed to be for next week, but I decided to move it up a week because we'd had so much time since our first one. I had everything sort of ready to go. I felt like with everything going on in the world today, it might just be best to get our team together to just reconvene and talk about really, why we're here. So thank you guys for doing that and for being here. We're going to talk about a few things today, and it's going to be in this order. The first thing I want to talk about quickly is our leveling update. I need to get to that. I want to talk about money, how many kids we have, how much our reserve is, and how much money we have to operate for the rest of the year. I also want to talk about some data. We have gotten back our end of grade data, which is ELA data for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students, including growth data and how we compare to students that are similar to us across the state of Georgia in 4th and 5th. And I also have gotten back math, but I'm not able to speak on math just yet because it's still embargoed. So we're going to kind of fly through the leveling and probably the EOG data. That's the end of grade data. And then we will jump into the security grant and some of the updates and things that have been going on with that. Okay, so if we need to abridge the agenda for the next meeting or to approve it, we could switch things around a little bit, but I think everything's going to be encapsulated. So thank you for giving me about the next 45 minutes of your time. Let's talk about our leveling update. Those that know, the 15th day of school is our official snapshot for our entire school body and how much money we get. Every student comes with approximately $5,450. We were projected to come in at 893 students. This is the projection that we talked about last February. This is the projection that we did everything in our power to make sure that we got those numbers, starting with our kindergarten enrollment and all the way up to 5th grade. The good news is that we came in 4 students over that number. So we are at 897 students. Don't forget that doesn't include pre-K. We don't get any funding for pre-K, but if you want to talk about full school population, right now we have 917 students at Morris Brandon. 897 of them are bringing funding to us. That is the largest elementary school in Atlanta Public Schools. And we are excited every day that we have students that are returning to our school. You're going to be getting, and the Go team's going to be getting a lot of information in the coming months around some budget deficits that we're in as a school, as a district, as a community. And the budget cycle is going to be very challenging this year. One of the lifts that I got from the principal meeting yesterday is that students enrollment going up is good. No matter what you have, as long as you have kids coming to your building, that's good news. We were presented with facts yesterday, and I've talked to you about this, that APS has an extremely high staff to student ratio, that if it were the same as DeKalb County, Fulton County, or Gwinnett County, that we would have nearly 2,000 to 3,000 less staff in our school system. They also told us that we operate very, very many small schools. Small schools cost a lot of money. Small schools are those that are under 300 students, under 400 students. Yesterday, for the first time, we started having conversations that are uncomfortable around communities that have small schools. When you're trying to close a $100 million budget gap by the next year or two, there's going to be some major shifts that are going to be happening. I don't know what those are yet. It's all going to be for the good of our students and our school system. I don't know how it's going to impact Brandon, but the good news off of this leveling is the fact that we have students that are coming, and we have a rising enrollment. Okay, so I want to leave it at that. That gives us 4 students over our projection. You multiply that times the SSF formula, that student success formula, we earned about $21,000. Okay, let's talk about that $21,000 that we got. The good news is that we didn't come under. When you come under, you have to pay money back. Okay. Now, along with that $21,000 that I earned, I was sitting on about, we had $147,000 in our reserve. That reserve was going to come to me after the 15th day. But if you remember correctly, they took 50% of that reserve at the end of last year because they were already trying to close some of that budget gap. This is a new budget gap, by the way. So I never got that 147. I only had about $73,000 to get us through the year. But now we have an additional 21,000, which is going to level us out at about $95,000 for the year. Just to give you an idea, these are some of the plans that we had come up with as a group to use that leveling reserve. We had talked about hiring an additional counselor. We had talked about an intervention teacher. We had talked about a potential gifted teacher, right? We talked about support for literacy coaches. Of course, when they take half of your reserve, you're not able to use it quite as much, but we still have a decent amount. It's not going to fund a full position, but then also know that that's all I have to get through the year. So we're going to take a hard look at our school now to see how we can support our CIP, our continuous improvement plan, as well as our school-wide priorities to get supports for our students that may be outside of a full-time teacher. We're looking at things like hourly teachers, hourly intervention teachers, hourly gifted teachers, or someone that can come in and be certified and be able to serve in those roles, can help support our students this school year and this school year only. We're not going to be able to move with a new position, but we are able to use these funds for our kids, and I'm excited about that. That's all I have for leveling. Do you have any questions on the numbers on the budget and our goal or our adjustment for this school year? And the reason why the slides are not very long, it's because this is the very end, really the end of about a 8-month budget cycle that we started in February. So last February, we got our projections. The 15th day of school, we finally got our budget. We know what it is now. So now moving forward, we're focusing on instruction, learning, how to move this $95,000 or so to best support our teachers and our school for this year. But the focus now is learning and instruction and getting that data up. So any questions around that before I move on?
Jay, do you know what our number was this time last year? How it compared?
Yeah, it's a great question. Last year, our projection was 844 and we came in at about 857. Those
Okay, great.
yeah, and that 857 was actually our regional program students too. So we got, 2 new programs that came to our school. So they gave us those kids. So I was really worried about the 897 because we got above 844 last time because they gave us kids. This year, we didn't have any regional program additions. These are just kids that are coming back to Morris Brandon.
Yeah,
172 kindergartners, that's where we built it up. And then, of course, we filled out our upper grades a little bit in 3rd, 4th, and 5th with some new students. But for the bulk, we're about probably 40 students above where we were last year.
Great. And you said 172 kindergartnners?
That's correct.
Wow.
And they're still coming in, by the way. Kids are still enrolling at Brandon. We just don't get any funding for them now.
Because at our last Go meeting, we were under.
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Yeah,
Yep.
I did. Yeah, so that's good. I wasn't expecting that.
We got it's tough on teachers. You start the school year, you go 5, 6, 7 days, you have your class set, you have 21 kids in there in 5th grade. And then you get a family of 3 that comes in, and then you get 2 more that come in, and then you get a couple more right around that 15th day we're trying to get them in. And I always tell the teachers, this is a good problem to have, y'all. It really is. We need people in our building. We need kids, because that's why we're here. We're here to serve students and serve families. So it's great problems to have. All right, let's keep rolling. We have EOG data. I want to remind you that EOG stands for end of grade. It's different than EOC. EOC is end of course. That's more middle school, high school. And I'm just going to talk about our EOG just for a minute, because it's something that's going to drive, in just a little bit, it's going to drive our strategic plan. It's already driven our continuous improvement plan, and it's going to drive where our funding goes. So the data speaks, and it tells us what we're doing right and what we need to improve on. All right, we're going to take a look at 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Okay, I'm going to give everybody on the screen about 30 seconds to look at this data. The top is the district, the bottom is Brandon, and in about 20 seconds, you're going to report out on what you notice and wonder. And it's great that we have a 3rd grade teacher on here. So you got a couple more seconds, sorry, about 10 more seconds down here. These are trend years, 22, 23 to 24. These are all different cohorts of kids, right? So the 24 is our 3rd, the 23 is our 4th graders, the 22 is our 5th graders right now. Okay. Does anything stand out to you on this data that I can just feel free to time out?
Yeah, proficiency is improving, so that's great. Lots of green.
Yep. We went from 72% proficient and distinguished to 74% proficient and distinguished, right? What else do we see?
I would just add that while like the numbers are clearly different between the district and Brandon, like we are moving in the same direction. So like the red is getting less for both,
Right.
which is extremely positive.
Right. So the trends are very similar, but our students are accelerating obviously a lot faster right now. Anything about the red students?
Yeah, we're decreasing those emergent learners. I mean,
Yeah, decreasing.
yeah, we're moving them out of that category.
Right. When we look at data, we look at 2 big things. We're really 3 lenses. One is, are we increasing our proficiency? Are we moving from this number to this number combined? Are we increasing our distinguished learners? Meaning, are we able to move more kids into this band? And are we decreasing our beginning learner? This data set, for example, 3rd grade got 2 out of 3. They increased their proficiency, they decreased their beginning learners. Distinguished learners not as much, but you can see that those students are still sitting in there as the proficient students. We're talking about completely different kids, by the way. So it's while we say it has to be apples to apples, you're talking about completely different cohorts. So keep that in the back of your head. This is 3rd grade. Let's go to 4th. Oh, sorry. This is 3rd grade race and ethnicity. I wanted to show you this. Okay. ELA only. We are talking about our African American students and our white students. Everybody see that increase? Really, really, really good stuff right here.
Yeah, good.
You want to see this. These are our highest need students. Typically, they fall under multiple subgroups. And to see that our white and non-Hispanic students are growing really just like our other students are is great. We still have an opportunity gap. 35 points we do. Absolutely. Are we moving in the right direction? Yes. Yes. And we're not just moving at 1% or 2%. This was 5.6% growth. 5% growth is very hard to do, and that is the goal across all subgroups. Shout out to 3rd grade for this. Go look at 4th grade. Take 30 seconds. Tell me what you see. More seconds. One thing I do want to just remind you of, well, I don't have that. Down here in 4th and 5th, we have what's called SGPs, as you know, because we can measure their growth from 3rd to 4th and 4th to 5th. So I also want you to look at the SGP down here as well. Anybody want to popcorn out what we're seeing with 4th grade?
For me, like immediately the significantly different again from 2023, more aligned with 22. So still obviously improvement, but significantly better. And then the green is all in totality growing.
Right. We were at 69% proficient last year. And then, 2 years ago. And then last year, our students were at 76% proficient. That's a 7% gain in proficiency. 7%. What else do we see?
I see at the bottom too, if you look at the growth, what is that? 87% of students are meeting or exceeding their growth targets, which is super
Right.
high.
Yep,
Yeah.
we talked about this. We talked about that Morris Brandon is going to be top 5, top 6 in the district on achievement. But can we be top 5, top 6 in the district in growth percentiles? Meaning that no matter who our kids are, they're still outgrowing kids that are like them. And that's exactly what we saw. Have 60% of our fourth graders have high growth. That's incredible, probably the highest in the district. I think our fourth grade probably had the best data on any school in Atlanta Public Schools. Let's keep going. Let's look at our last one. Here we go. Here's our trend data, by the way. What do we see here? 23% growth in our African-American students in fourth grade.
That's amazing.
Still growing our white students, right? All right, last one, fifth grade. Take about 30 seconds. All right. What stands out on fifth grade? Make it quick.
Yeah, big jump to distinguish there.
Yep, 17% growth in distinguished learners right here. That is equal CCRPI points out the wazoo. If you know how CCRPI, our school ratings, are calculated, you know that you get 1.5 points for distinguished learners, 1 point for proficient, 0.5 and 0 for the red. So having a 17% gap jump in distinguished learners is incredible. What else do we see? Last one.
I think you have like in 2024 though, the red is the highest. It went from 12 to 9 to 13. So you do have some students.
Yep.
And I know it's like not the same students because it's
Mm-hmm.
right. It's not the same, but there
Right.
seems to be an opportunity in fifth grade to address some, I don't know what it is, but an
You're right.
opportunity.
Great feedback. We had 13% of our fifth graders were still in the beginning at the end of the year, which is definitely an outlier. If you look at fourth grade the year before, they had 18%. So you can see that they actually reduced their beginning learners from the grade level before, right? So fourth grade in 2023, 18% of those fourth graders were beginning, but in fifth grade, they got it down to 13%. That's another way of looking at it, but from cohort to cohort. But you are correct. When we look at who these kids are, and I drill down, many of these students were first-year Brandon last year. We get a lot of first-year kids in fourth and fifth grade, but especially in fifth grade. And many of those were our beginning learners. But long story short, 77% of our fifth graders show typical to high growth. 46% of them had that high growth. And I think our fifth grade had top 4 or 5 performance in the district as well. And I want to show you the subgroups for this. And you can see the little dip right here. And that might be what we're seeing in our beginning learners, okay? Let's go look at how our white students performed in fifth grade last year. Very rarely will you see a number this high as proficient and above. 97% of our white students in fifth grade last year were proficient or above. That's almost every single one of them, except for maybe 1 or 2. And that might be the reason why we had such huge gaps in those, huge jumps in those distinguished learners.
Do we
Jay,
have
Well,
the year-over-year
my,
data for the, oh, sorry, go for
Go ahead.
it.
No, go ahead, Ashley. We'll go to you first and then I'll go back.
Okay, I was just wondering if we had year data for ELA Hispanic.
Great data. Yes, I do. I absolutely have that. I have not included it in here, but our
Okay.
every subgroup at Brandon grew in ELA from year over year as a third, fourth, and fifth grade cohort all together. Every subgroup grew with the exception of multiracial. Multiracial only had 15 students. And you have to have at least 15 to actually count as a subgroup. So we have
Okay.
subgroups for gifted, economically disadvantaged, white, Black, Hispanic, Asian, multiracial. That's the only subgroup that did not make that game. But I can show you that next time.
Okay.
Jay, might be an interesting view. It could be just like a little copying and pasting, but like since we have the data for the cohorts, lining up those bars to see
Yeah.
to be able to see how the cohorts are moving from third
Group,
to
I
fifth.
do that. If you're looking at this one, Ashley, the reason why I don't have another Hispanic for 2024 is because you have to have 15 kids. I did not have 15 kids. So for FERPA rules, like the Privacy Acts, Don't want you to drill down into any data that has less than 15 kids because they may think that we're talking about the actual kid. So that's why we don't have the data there. But if we look at third, fourth, and fifth together, you will see that they grew. I want to show you this. I talked about the SGPs. This is the SGP of every single school in Atlanta Public Schools, from elementary school all the way down to high school, or everybody's mixed in there together. This bar on the end just keeps going down. This is Morris Brandon right here. I hid all the other schools. Morris Brandon had 232 students that tested in ELA in fourth and fifth grade. And this was our growth percentile right here. 53% of our students in fourth and fifth grade exceeded their growth target. That is number 2 in the district. You can see our numbers of students. Don't forget, these schools that are at the top right here that I don't have their names, those are not schools that may also be at the high achieving end as well. So I just want to celebrate and show you the work that our teachers did in ELA for achievement and growth last year, knowing that 53% of our fourth and fifth graders completely exceeded the growth targets and where they were supposed to be. And if you know anything about growth targets, like 40 to 60 is typical, is average. 40 to 60 is average for all together. And if you put all of ours together, 53 plus 28, that's almost 50, 70, percent of our kids, 80% of our kids meeting their growth targets in ELA. I just want to give a shout out to our teachers and do that. And that's why I have this slide. Just read it and process it. I won't read it to you. Great job, GOTeam, because this is direct influence of the work that you did last year. And I just want to say we don't have math on there. And you can probably hear my excitement. I'm not allowed to talk about math because math was a sticky point for a lot of people last year, but the math data is still completely embargoed by the state. They're holding it because of it's going to be released at the end of the month. But I will tell you, without getting into the weeds, that math data is better than ELA data. Okay? So well done. Any questions about end of grade data? I had a little bit of map, but I'm going to hold on the map. I don't have map today. I wanted to focus on the end of grade and the milestone stuff for now, because the next thing that comes out, Ashley, is our CCRPI score that will be out within the next month. And it's going to correlate to some greatschools.org, greatschools.org number, which we're at an 8 out of 10 now. And the idea is to get to a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 this year.
Yep, great.
All right. All right, let's talk a little bit about safety and security and the security grant that we have. I want to take a few minutes to address this. It is no secret that it's been a rough week around the country and especially in Georgia. And I appreciate kind of everybody's understanding and patience. It's not an easy job. Principal's not an easy job. Being a teacher is not an easy job. And it's been no exception this week. So I want to talk just for a minute. And the reason why I wanted to move our meeting up a little bit was to give our community a chance to speak and talk about what's on their mind and share any feedback or any ideas that they have. And I'm going to continue to tell Ashley to just continue to drop that in there and just make sure that link is in there for anybody new that joined. But then also I want to remind our families a little bit about what we do to keep our kids safe every day, and then what we can do to plan to continue to keep our kids safe. Last night, a text message was sent out to all families within APS, and from about 7 to 10 o'clock at night, I was answering emails, answering phone calls, sending remind messages, and trying to, for lack of a better word, clean up the messaging a little bit. There was no direct threats to Morris Brandon at all. There have been threats across the state of Georgia since the last school shooting happened a week ago. It's been going on every day, and it was a little surprise to just kind of get that at that time. I did need to take the time to sort of let our community know that today is going to be a normal day of school as always, and we need to continue to approach it that way. And while we hold all of the anxiety and we hold the fears in our shoulders for our kids, we got to make it normal for them. We got to send them to school when they need to be here. So I definitely appreciate all the staff that were here today and all the kids that came and the officers that stuck around for as long as they could today before they got pulled. Last year, we did a security investment survey because the governor indicated that every school in Georgia is going to get $45,000 security grant, which we were really happy about. All staff across the district were given a survey, but our GOTeam came together and said, what does our staff need? Like, what do they want, right? What do our staff want? So I want to remind everybody a little bit around this April survey and what we did. These were some of the findings that we found. That really that our staff prioritized continuing to layer safety procedures on top of what we already have. Things like increased camera supports, footage, footprints, and capacity. One of the questions was about an SRO. And we talked a little bit around if you had all the money in the world, like what position would you get? And how, if you didn't have to worry about it. And they basically said, and our staff indicated that an SRO would be awesome. We would love it, but I don't think we'd want to trade out an actual like specialist or a teacher for an SRO. And that was a little bit of the messaging that they shared. And they added with additional budget teammates, what would they want to add to other positions? And we asked them what positions they wanted, and they indicated things like special education, educators and interventionists and behavior specialists. And we have added a special educator onto that role as well. These are a little bit around if money were no object, what security related investment would you like Morris Brandon to make? And I want to remind people that this is our staff that answered this. This is not our families. This is our staff. And if money was no object, sure, they want an SRO, right? They want an SRO. But but number two would be increased camera footprint, badge readers, classroom door security, and then it just sort of trickles down from there, where everything was a little bit equal. So I just wanted to sort of show you what our staff felt, because I do think that in these times, it's important to listen to our school. This is some of the staff voices. I'll take you a second to just kind of remind you a little bit around some of the things that they said. Okay. I'm going to leave this for about 30 seconds and just let you read some of these comments. None of this is to say that any answer is right or not right, but it helps to guide some of our conversations around where our $45,000 will go. I'm going to keep going. Additionally, I want to remind our families that are listening and our GOTeam that 2 years ago, we had a really great security improvement from a security group of parents that came together and really worked collaboratively with me and the school district to really put some safety precautions into place at the end of the 22-23 school year. These are some of the PowerPoints and some of the slides that I lifted, and I want to remind people some of the additional work that we've done. And then we'll talk a little bit around kind of what's to come. These were the 4 areas that we spoke about. And we talked about enclosing or repairing fencing around playground areas. We talked about landscaping improvements. We discussed glass and window security film, and we discussed main vestibules at each campus. I'm excited to say that we have all 4 of these in place right now. Okay. And this is because of great parent and community involvement. This was the proposal for the fencing, and it's been completed. And we have put fencing and increased fencing at the primary center, around the side by the gym, at the main campus, down the track, around the side. We've raised it, and we've added, we even added some increased landscaping to just hopefully grows in and helps provide some more coverage. Here's a little bit more of the fencing. The big gate at the main campus, we realized that it'd be easy to slide under it, or you could go under it if you wanted to. So we paid for, our community helped to fund an iron bar at the bottom of it, so you can't even come under the gate that way. We worked on getting some push bars on these fences. We raised some of these fences up, and you can see some of the quotes and some of the work that it took. Aside from that, we were pioneers in wrapping and using security film for our buildings, meaning that the vestibules did get wrapped with 3M security film, which is basically bulletproof. But our school and our community took the time and energy and funding to wrap the entire building and every window that's under 7 feet. I want to make sure that our community knows this, and that knows that every window that you could put your hand on is unbreakable. We talked about some short-term suggested improvements as well with that team. We talked about substitute training. Since then, we've created a substitute handout and document that should be given to substitutes upon their entry into the building. Many substitutes are in our building multiple times. They've received the handout, which talks about our drills and what to do in case of emergency once. They come 20 times this year, but we know they have it. but we also know if subs are in our building for the first time, then one of the first procedures they do in the morning is to take that protocol. We have asked teachers as well to put them in their subfolders and their subplans and things like that, but we've taken our office staff really to take the ownership of making sure that anybody who's watching our kids during the day understands our school security plan. Stricter voting day protocol was huge. We no longer have school on voting days. Stricter visitor check-in and student checkout procedures is something that we've worked on. We've got our Raptor system up and running at both campuses and inside of our vestibules. We now know which visitors are in our building, and we have really tried to lock down and support our office staff with checkout procedures. So these are all, definitely check-in systems have gotten refined. Checkout systems are there, and continue to refine them. Improving adherence to current safety and security protocol, absolutely. We have spent days during pre-planning reviewing our safety protocols. Every single classroom door at Morris Brandon is now locked when students are in them. There's no propping any doors. The only doors that you'll see propped at Brandon are just hallway doors that are generally connected by a magnet or need to be released in case of a fire, and they have to be propped. But outside of that, doors that have students in them, and it is a process, but I'm learning every day that I can't get into any classrooms unless I have a master key. And that is what we want to see. Talked about maintenance staff buy-in for routine maintenance and access concerns. And that is something that we talk to our site managers about and our custodians and to let us know. And they are awesome extra sets of eyes and ears. And then just communication to our school community about security and safety. And I think that is something that we need to do better on, not necessarily Morris Brandon, but as our school system in general. And I want to just talk about some other security measures just to make sure that we are all aware that we have completed and are fully operational our 2 security vestibules. I'd be lying to you if I told you that I don't get inundated with Let's Talk tickets that are just kicked right back to me from safety and security of parents that are upset that our vestibules are not working properly or that they're propped open or the badges are there. And I continually respond and say, our vestibules are working. The first 2 weeks of school, they were not ready. I knew that. They were not ready like they were supposed to. But they are fully functional. They are operating. You have to get buzzed into the vestibule, then you've got to get buzzed into the main office, and then you've got to get buzzed into the school. There is no way to walk directly into our building anywhere on our campus, anywhere on our building. We have Centegic's emergency alert system for all staff. Mine is somewhere over there. It goes off occasionally. That's the button that you press 3 times for admin, 8 times for SWAT team. We have it. Thank you, Tamika, for holding that up for everybody. But teachers take that outside with them. They have them, and we have them with us. We talked about the increased fencing and ground shrub cover. We talked about Raptor management system. We now have door alarms on every exterior door outside of our main entrances that beep, and they beep extremely loudly anytime they are opened. We continue to have 40 interior and 20 exterior cameras spread across both campuses. Okay. We do monthly drill rehearsals, and of course, we have the See Something, Say Something anonymous reporting system. We talk about layered security. We have everything in our school to keep our kids safe. Okay. And in my opinion, Morris Brandon is a safe school, and it's a great place to send your kids. And I feel like our kids and our staff understand our protocol. Are there always room for improvements? Absolutely. Are there other safety protocols and processes that we can put that are easy to implement and will layer our safety? Yes, keep them coming. Will it make it? Will having a full-time SRO in our buildings support our school and absolutely help our safety plan? Yes, I completely agree. But we also have to keep in mind funding. One of the things that I've worked on, and I haven't really mentioned this to people, is that North Atlanta has a roving police officer now. It's a police officer who's assigned to the North Atlanta cluster schools. And I was able to work with that officer to have an office at our primary center. So that office, that police officer is now based out of Morris Brandon Primary Center. Okay. I want to talk for a second around this company down here just for a minute. Thank you so much to Chris Fellows for supporting me on this and just kind of working with me offline. Another important work that GOTeam does is to really work with the principal offline, do some one-on-one meetings to figure out how they can support anywhere they do. And I meet with GOTeam members all the time. Knowing that our feedback from our faculty and staff had to do with camera upgrades and camera supports, one of the items that we looked at was a company called Zero Eyes. Zero Eye software analyzes over 3 billion images each day from security camera video feeds and alerts authorities within seconds if a firearm is detected. This is a company that we've researched, that we've met with twice, and we've already made the connection with Atlanta Public Schools to see if we wanted to explore their platform. Zero Eyes links in with our cameras. And I want everybody to know that cameras are awesome to have. They really are. Cameras at Morris Brandon are effective, typically after the fact, okay? Unless somebody is watching the cameras 24 hours a day, which is very difficult to do in an elementary school, and we have them up on all of our computers, but if you're not watching them, and they do monitor downtown as well, but it is difficult to get ahead of things. Cameras are very good when somebody tells me that so-and-so had a watch stolen out of their book bag on the 3rd grade hallway. Well, I can go back to that time and figure out who that person is. But unless you're watching it immediately in real time, it's not always going to be that valuable for safety and security concerns. What Zero Eyes does is they patch into our school security system through APS, and they monitor using an AI technology. I have a live demo coming up in a couple weeks, but I've already done one with the company. And basically what happens is if somebody were to brandish anything that were to resemble a weapon on campus, outside of our campus, or anywhere that one of our cameras covers, which is pretty much all around our building, the AI would automatically capture that, screen in on it, and send an image to a 24/7 monitoring department, which would then immediately alert me, my staff, and our SROs and our police officers. They said the typical response time is about 4 seconds, okay? 4 seconds. And the reason why I was interested in this is because once somebody is in your building, it is typically late, right? That's when we have our Centegix buttons and we're going off. This will capture people in parking lots, pulling cars up, around the sides of buildings and things along those lines. What this reminds me of, if you remember correctly, and then I will hand it over to Chris just for a second if he wants to say a couple words, is if you remember the Boston bombing that we had several years ago, and they used AI. That was kind of the first time they started using AI to really zoom in on backpacks. And they would put out a picture of about 30,000 people, and all of a sudden green boxes would start popping up on anything that resembled a backpack. And that's how they started tracking backpacks and where that was. Well, this is very similar, that they are monitoring all over the country for things that resemble a weapon. It automatically highlights it with a yellow box and will alert Zero Eyes, which will immediately funnel it out to me and our SROs, or then just indicate that it's a false alarm, okay? And I liked it because it's constantly being monitored. Chris, would you like to say just 1 or 2 words about anything that you've taken away from this? Without putting you on the spot, my friend.
Yeah, yeah, happy to. I mean, I think it could be, pretty compelling.
This is breaking up a little bit. Can you guys hear him?
No, Chris, I think you're breaking up.
Yeah, yeah. I hopefully that's a little better.
If you want to try and turn your camera off, yeah, and get a little more bandwidth, you can try. Otherwise, I'll just speak for you. That's okay. All right, Chris, we're not able to hear you, my friend. That's okay. Don't worry about it. I muted him, but I still hear him talking. Well, anyways, listen, Chris and I, Chris has been great because he helped me make the connection. These are all the guys that run this company are all police officers and expats. And I'm excited to have a call with
I'll go in
further.
I'll go. Yeah, you got it. You got it, Jeff.
I got you, Chris. Don't worry. I got you. We'll talk about it next time. But we have a live demo because they're coming down to Georgia Tech because they're going to be installed in their cameras. And I have a live demo in a couple weeks. And I've invited some of the other principals who are interested as well in our cluster. We don't have a ton of money. We don't have a long pot of money. Like, I don't know how many years it's coming or whatnot. But this is one element and one item that I was thinking about working with APS on implementing into our schools to give us one extra layer of support and constant monitoring. And it's relatively inexpensive, but also it is something that is not going to require a ton of building and work and construction and everything else. So I wanted to share that. Any feedback quickly on this before I go to my next slide, and I'll jump over to you, Kim. I see your hand up.
Are they already in schools? You just said like Georgia Tech. I think it would just be interesting to see
what their experience has been with other schools. And we don't have to get into it, but just when you meet
Yeah,
with
no,
them.
great question. I would just encourage you right now to write this name down and look it up, go online. They're in school systems across the country. This would be actually almost a single source, meaning that if we pay them, if we don't have to get bids from other companies. When you have public funding, you have to do that because they are really one of the only companies that offer this service right now. I want to go, I've had a few questions since yesterday, and I get a lot of emails, y'all. I get hundreds of emails a day. I do. 90% of them are spam, so I only get about 10% of good emails, but I do get hundreds of emails a day. And I just want to make sure that I'm addressing them and I'm being responsive to our community. But I felt like also that GOTeam was the best first meeting for this. We could record this, we put this out, let people watch it and understand. And I have a coffee talk in a couple of weeks as well that I can elaborate a little bit more on. These are some questions that I've received, and I just want to be able to talk about some of them for a little bit. And I'm just going to read them. Number one, in regards to cameras, I was wondering what we currently have and what the plan would be to increase. Do we have them in the hallway, stairwells, outside? Would there be a plan to put them inside classrooms too? Asking as I heard about this, and this lady sent me a link and wanted to pass them along. Although I know you mentioned research has been underway in general regarding cameras. Correct. The research for cameras they are beneficial if they're being monitored. That anybody will tell you that. And I have talked to several security experts on that. I want you to know that we have camera coverage really everywhere we need it. They are at the ends of our hallways. They are at our entrances, anywhere there's doors. Okay. Are they in every stairwell? No, but I will tell you that I have not felt a need to have one in a stairwell yet. But if there's a door in a stairwell, there's a camera right outside that door that I'm able to monitor and watch. I have not heard necessarily that we're lacking cameras inside the building. There might be an opportunity, like I would love to have a camera like all the way on the other side of our field, right? Like on the far end, like a monitor recess and watch down there. So I will say that I personally feel like our camera coverage is very strong. I think it's good. I have a camera view that I would love to show you. Maybe next time I can show you my snapshot of all of our cameras, 40 per building and outside as well. But with this link that I got right here, I did apply for this, do a free trial to learn a little bit more. This is a school safety platform that basically it organizes all of your school safety into one like easy to follow, easy to read document and plan. I want to learn a little bit more about it. I think it does some assessments on your security. But I did want you to know that we don't have a plan to, I told this parent this, we don't have a plan to put them necessarily in the classrooms, but the idea is to do some types of security enhancements through our camera systems. And that's where I got the idea of Zero Eyes. On the point of monitoring the cameras, the AI software service we mentioned at Foundation, does it detect both potential large-scale weapons as well? This person mentioned Foundation, and I want you to know that it's because I had a Foundation meeting the day of Appalachia, and I felt the need to discuss that. And I also did tell Foundation, I always do this, that typically 99.9% of the time, our GOTeam is the first one to hear important information. I always hold it for GOTeam, but this was one thing that I just wanted to discuss for a minute with them because I had just finished a meeting. It detects both potential large scale and smaller weapons as well. With my live meeting and with my demo next week, I'm happy to ask that. But the video that we've seen it was identifying everything from a knife in a hand to an assault rifle. That's what we saw. At one point last year, we brainstormed security crisis training. I was wondering if the custodians could potentially benefit from this training, and I was thinking they'd probably be fairly fluid around the school through the day. Great idea. Our custodians and site managers are fully trained in our security protocols. We had a huge day of security at the beginning during pre-planning. We went through everything. We did bomb it. Remember, security is more than it's also drill rehearsal, fire drills, evacuation drills, earthquake, all of that. And all of our custodians and our site managers have participated in that. Now, I have not done crisis training. APS does offer that, avoid, deny, defend. All of our staff have been trained because we had to do what's called active trainer shooting, okay? And we did that online. Everybody has taken that, and that includes our custodians and our site managers as well. It also includes our kitchen staff. And I'm excited now that our kitchen staff are not contractors, but they're APS employees, and they follow the same processes and procedures as all of our staff do. The subs in new staff building learn new safety procedures. It's the process. We have a handout, a one-pager for all new staff and new subs that come into our building. What are you doing to limit visitors in the school, not parents here for lunch, etc.? Person wanted to ask, and one of the things we talked about last year is keeping non-essential people out of your building. Well, it's a fine balance because our community wants to be in our school. You know, if I tell parents we're not doing lunch anymore, you know, that creates issues. I want our families and I want our community and I want our parents to be able to come into the school, but we need to keep out every single person else that does not have a student at Morris Brandon. And that's really our goal. We have moved things like Uber Eats and, you know, all this food delivery stuff all outside and inside of our vestibule. People do not get buzzed into our main lobby in either campus if they really do not have parents at our school or not an outside service provider. We're really trying to keep people out of the entrance, and our people that buzz parents in, they know that we don't just necessarily have to hit, come on in. It's more so right now, also like, why are you here? And they may ask a question. The fact that we have our vestibule knows that we feel a little more comfortable with that. Last year, we definitely had to do that. But the idea is to keep people out of our building that just do not need to be in here for anything other than what we're here for. Physical locks. I want you to know that all door magnets are gone. Every single door is locked, and there are no latches on doors. They're only keys, and the doors are permanently locked from the outside. So that does exist at our school. We continue to remind teachers it's a process, but for the most part, we did a walkthrough with Chief Applin and the superintendent last Friday, and it was funny. I couldn't get into any classrooms, and instead of being mad, I was happy. I couldn't get the superintendent into the rooms to see the kids. So it's happening and it's there, and that's already underway. SRO, SSO, of course, ongoing funding is important here. I heard that there's a grant application in the U.S. Department of Justice. I love this. I will explore that, and I appreciate this person sharing this for me. With another round of applications coming in October. And is there a training that Ms. Gillum can attend to help support students during difficult times? And I do think it's important because we may not be directly affected, but we know our kids hear our parents, they feel their anxiety, they listen to the news, they read the news. And we get kids that are scared sometimes. So can Ms. Gillum, is she trained enough? Can she handle that? Does she need anything specific to work with those students? And absolutely. And that's something that if you talk to her about, she will tell you that she is great with coping skills. That's one of her strengths. But any training that comes around that I can pay for or send her to that's going to help build her toolbox, I'm absolutely going to do. So with that said, I wanted to just take any questions from GOTeam first before we go ahead and hand it over to our community to share any public comment. Anybody want to share anything at this point in time? And I do want to say about the security grant, we don't have a timeline to spend that, but we have to earmark that $40,000 for this school year. So the idea is to move with something pretty soon, but we don't have to spend it all. And then once we make a move with something, I'll alert our community and let them know what it is, let them know that it's being implemented. And if we have more money left, then we go to our next item in line and our next important area. All right. Does anybody, would anybody like to share out from GOTeam anything? Okay. So let's do this. Ashley, do you want to push the public comment out anymore? I'm looking at the sheet. I don't see anybody on there, but I do want to give people the opportunity. And since nobody's on there, if you want to come off comment and you want to raise your hand, parents and community members, this is the time that you can take two minutes to share out anything you want about our school, our system, our cluster. And this is a great time to do that. And yeah, I'll open it up. We'll just give it a minute. I'll give some adequate wait time. Okay, and again, we are just giving our community a moment to come off mute if they would like to, if they want to share anything, they're welcome to. I also want people to know that I'm always available to meet, and you know that if anybody wants any one-on-one time, okay? All right, Jenny, go ahead.
Hey, I really just wanted to thank you because going through all of the security things that we've done in the last year and a half, it was crucial to have your buy-in, and your approval and buy-in and helping us work behind the scenes is why we are at a point that I know, speaking with parents last night, I want you to know that I tried to help de-escalate a lot of conversations yesterday because after a lot of the work that we did with you, I realized that this kind of stuff happens every day. And a lot of times we just don't even find out about it. And that's, you know, the reality of the world we're living in. But I know that you guys are doing the best you can. And a lot of that is because you have bought in with the parents and helped us really truly have our school as safe as it can be, minus an SRO. And I know that the budget definitely limits you. And so we are pushing with the board, and I've called the state today, and we are working, as best we can to get this done. And we appreciate everything you've done to keep our kids and our teachers safe. So just wanted to thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And do we have anybody else that would like to just share a couple words? Again, thank you for that. It's not easy. We have kids at Morris Brandon too. We all do. We are all parents at Brandon. And I want to just give anybody else an opportunity if you want to share. I'll give it about another couple seconds and I'll close it out.
Hey Jay,
Right.
this is Emily Bacon.
Hey Emily, go ahead.
I just wanted to second what Jenny said. We think we really appreciate the attention to all of the security updates and the team that did that, and Jenny, and thank y'all, and Liz and everyone who was a part of that. It makes people feel a lot better about sending their kids to school. And I think, we are still, like Jenny said, pushing every angle we can think of, trying to work with the board, APSPD, Chief Applin, all of those things. We're also, we're still wondering and asking and if there's opportunity for us to privately fundraise for security, SRO, or outside security, or whatever that may be. Just any way that we could do that, or ask I don't know if the foundation can pay for it or not. I know we've talked about some of this stuff before, but is there just any way that it could be made possible? Because I think, like, if we're just saying funding is the only thing that's keeping this from happening, like, I just wonder if we're really exploring every option of funding at this point. But anyway, I just was curious about that. And also, like I said, thank you very much for your attention to this and everything, all the effort you've put into it. And I know being principal is not an easy position, and we appreciate it very much.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I'm absolutely available to answer any questions outside of GOTeam. As you know, it's one-way dialogue here, but we love hearing it. And so thank you for that. And I'll give anybody else a chance to come off mute. I think I just let one or two more people come into the meeting, so I want to make sure that they have their moment. Okay. Well, let me share my last slide. Well, me. This was I always put this on there because some people don't know how to contact our admin team. So I just want you to know that if you do want to reach out to any of our admin team, I know that I shoulder a lot of things, and that's okay because that's what the principal does. We have other admin that if you ever want to reach out to pick their brains, to talk and to find out, please do. I'm not the head of security at Morris Brandon. We have assistant principals that are. Well, I'm the head of everything. I know Miss Small is the one who really, has to drill down on our drills. She has to report drills to the state every month. We have to report, the amount of students that are in our drills and when we did them and the time of day. When the fire marshal comes, she's the one that has to walk around with them and make sure the doors aren't propped and classroom doors are closed and things like that. So I just want to just kind of show you all of our people. If you ever need to get in contact with us, you can. Of course, follow us. And I'm going to go ahead really at this point in time and just hand it back over to Ashley, who can help close out our meeting.
Yeah. So we're at the announcements parts, and Lena, I know you had mentioned that you are going to the organizational meeting for the cluster. Is that next week? You and Jay, right? Next week?
Yeah, it's on Wednesday. Yep.
Okay, cool. So I think maybe one topic just to put, because NAPS is working on it too, is the transportation stuff. So just transportation within our cluster, better organizing the buses. NAPS is holding a transportation forum. I believe it's October 9th. We're trying to finalize where we're doing that. But I think that's something that would be good maybe to just have for the cluster meeting.
Okay.
And then announcements, our next meeting will be, let's see, Thursday, October 24th, 3:30 p.m. Does anyone have anything else?
Nope, and let me just make sure that all that is correct. You said October, what do we have it on as?
The 24th.
And perfect, got it. Yes, thank you.
All right, so I think we're at the end of our agenda. Last call, anything else? Any additional business? Okay, all right, well, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll motion to adjourn.
You, Lena, second.
I'll second.
Thank you, and all in favor, please raise your hand. All right, meeting is adjourned at 4:36 p.m.
Okay, thanks, everyone. We'll see you in a month. We'll talk
Guys.
soon. Talk before then. Bye-bye.
Bye.